Hi everyone, it's Crafty Tina's. Today's video is a follow-up video. The last video we did these holiday planners and we put a snow globe on the front of our journals. We did this with the We Are Memory Keepers cinch. That is my prior video. And I made matching shadow box with the snow globe having a shaker inside for the pretty snow. It's hard to show you because of the glare. There's snow inside the shaker and there's plastic on top. I'm going to show you how to measure and line up to add a die cut to the top of your shadow box. Now to make the shadow box, we are using the We Are Memory Keepers shadow box board. However, if you do not have this board yet, or you can't find it, you can make these using your scoring board. Any scoring board will work. I have a video showing you how to make this. I will post the link to that video in the description. So if you don't have the shadow box board, you can still watch this video to find out how to measure, get your measurements, and how to make this board using this punch, but you will also be able to make this without using the punch. We're using one die set. I got this die set on Amazon and it does stain with ink. You can tell I haven't used these yet. Staining of the clear stamps do not affect their ability to stamp. This die set comes with the snow globe, some snowflakes, a holly and berries. It also comes with 2 animals. It comes with the candle cutouts and the bell cutout. It also comes with this little cutout so you can create snow at the bottom of your snow globe as well. This is a stamp and die set from Amazon, and again, I will put it in the link. This is the only stamp and die set we're using for this video. I try to keep it to a minimal supply so that you don't have to run out and buy 10 items to do one project. This project is basically being done with the stamp and die set. I did add some snowflake punches just because I have them and I like to use them. I like my snowflakes to have a solid center so that when I put a foam tab there, it holds it to the surface really well. And these 2 have worked for me. They are super old, guys. I don't know if I'll be able to find the link. This is Paper Studio, which means this one's Hobby Lobby, and this one is Recollection, so this one is Michael's. Any snowflake punch will work, so you don't have to worry if you can't find that one. You can also find snowflake dies if you don't want to use punches. And if you don't have die sets for the snowflakes, you can use punches. You can cut this out by hand, but this would be very difficult. So unless you have a cutting machine or using die cuts, this would be the hardest thing to cut out by hand. If you wanted to make this and did not have this die set, you can cut out 2 circles, one larger than the other, and put them together, and then you could hand cut out the base so that you could have a snow globe look without using the die cut. Your limit is going to be this circle here because it's very important to get it skinny. But if you were just making a card or wanting to put this on top of a notebook, you could do it by hand. So let's get started. I want to show you everything you need to make this shaker shadow box. And then we're going to talk about how to size it when you're using a die cut and you want the die cut to be the outside of your box. So this was the one I had showing you on the video when we made the notebooks. I revised it to this one, and the reason being is I didn't like the base hanging off the shadow box. I thought I did when I made it. That's why I made it that way. I didn't like the look afterwards. I didn't like this because if I want to put this on an easel or if I want to put this somewhere, this is going to constantly be hit. I revamped the size of the shadow box, and I'm going to show you how to do that and how to use my chart so that you can make your shadow box the right size. I revamped it so that the base can sit flush at the bottom and everything just overlaps enough that I can glue it down and still have the most of the inside hollow. Except for the corners, you'll be able to see the corners. However, we're using snowflakes, or we can use holly to cover up those corners. So I'm okay with the fact that this is square and this is a circle. I wanted the snow globe look, so this was my solution. Now let's talk about sizing. This board recommends a 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, and a 5x5. That's it. That's all it gives you the instructions for. That's all it will tell you how to do. If you go to my Facebook page, you can print out this PDF. It will show you how to do this many square sizes and this many rectangle sizes. Super easy. The only thing you need to know is what size paper to start with, and this will give you that. But when you're trying to find the dimensions for your shadow boxes, you need to know two things when you're trying to match this up to know what size to make. You need to know what inside is going to be as far as size goes, and you need to know the outside size. So this gives you the inside and the outside, so you can compare it and kind of figure out which one you want. Now, I made this first box as a 2.5 by 2.5, so I used the square side, but this is where I ran into a problem. I didn't want it to be bigger across because I wanted my snow globe to just be on the edge, but I needed it to be bigger in length. So instead of a square 2x2, I wanted to do a rectangle. I'm sorry, this is a 3.5. This is 3.5. 2, 3. This is 3.5 by 3.5, not 2.5. The inside is 2.5. This is 3.5 by 3.5. But it wasn't long enough, and it didn't need to be much longer. So if this is 3.5 by 3.5, I made this one 3.5 by 3 3/4. It is only a 1/4 inch bigger, but it made a world of difference for my snow globe. I didn't want it to be 3 3/4 wide because the inside of my snow globe could not have accommodated that. It would have been too big, and I would have not had enough edge to glue down my snow globe. And that was important. I wanted it to look like the entire inside was just my snow globe for the cute little snow we have going on. This is again on my Facebook page. I'm going to add this to it. I even put notes to the side so that if you're looking at my YouTube videos and you're trying to figure out what size box I used, you'll be able to use this. And I added the size with the word snow globe. The inside is 2.5 by 2 3/4. The outside is 3.5 by 3 3/4, which means my paper size is 7.5 by 7 3/4. You can pick what size you want and write it here. And then from here, if my outside needed to be something that wasn't here, if you write your size here, to go over here, you're adding 4. To go over here to the inside, you're subtracting 1. I have another video that shows you how to use this sheet. It's very simple, and once you get started, you will be quickly making any size shadow box you want to make. So I already have my piece cut out because you guys know how to cut paper. This is simply 7 3/4 by 7.5. Use a random print for your shadow boxes because you're not going to be able to see the full print. And if it is a one directional, one way will be correct, but the other way is going to be sideways. So I like a random print. If you want a lot of detail to be seen on top of your shadow box, the smaller the print, the more detailed. I just want the colors. I'm not really worried about the print. I want the holly colors to stand out, the red and the greens. That is for our shadow box itself. The inside of this shadow box is going to be white because that is the back side of my paper. This is cardstock. You need that for the firmness. If you use paper, this is not going to work. So choose cardstock. I don't want the inside to be white. I want it to have a photo in there. There are multiple ways you can get your photos. I took some scrapbook cardstock. In this case, you can use paper. You don't have to use cardstock because you are gluing it to the inside of your shadow box, so it already has cardstock there. You can print out a piece of paper, a piece of cardstock, or you can print it on your printer, any photo or image you want. Just make sure it is the inside measurement of your shadow box. You can also use stamps. I used the stamp set that come with this. I used the little 3 gnomes, and I used the pretty little village with the snow. You can color these or leave them plain. You can also stamp them in a color if you'd like. For this image, I'm going to go color the little houses, but I'm going to put glitter glue for the snow on top of the houses and the snowflakes, and I'm going to color the trees green. That is how I'm going to do these. And this, I'm just going to take some colored pencils or markers, and I'm going to color all the little guys in there. This is the stamps that come with this snow globe set. These were specifically made to go inside of the snow globe. See how the images fill up the entire part of the snow globe? They're purposely made for this die set. And that's the great part about buying the stamp and die sets. You get stamps that you can use for other things. You get die cuts that you can use for other things. And when you want to put them together, they are already sized properly. Stamp and die sets are wonderful. They weren't around as much 20 years ago. Otherwise, my craft room would be full of them. It's quickly filling up because these are really cute little cheaper items to add to your craft room. You can usually get a stamp and die set anywhere from $8 to $11. That's pretty decent to have the dies and the stamps. So you can choose multiple ways to get your image inside. If you are making a snow globe for something other than the shadow box, such as we made it for our journal, instead of making the ring by putting these 2 dies together, you would use the big die for a background, any color you want. I chose black. And then the smaller die cuts the smaller circle for your image. So you can have your image be inside the shadow box, or you can make your image to go on top and then add your base. This is what you would put on a card or a box or a gift bag or a gift wrapped package or on your journals. I've cut out some snowflakes, and another thing in this set is a really cute holly and berry set. Now for the berries, this all cuts out in one color, but you could put red cardstock just right here and cut it out. I'm not going to use cardstock for the berries. I'm going to use rhinestones. So now I want to show you how to make the shadow box, and I'm going to show you how to line up and put the adhesive on top. We are also going to use these little clear sheets. They're so hard to find when you lay them down. This is a 7 MIL, 7 millimeter. I don't know what 7 MIL means. That's just what it says on Amazon. These are called report covers. So it's a whole package of 8.5 by 11 just clear sheets. These are thick. They're too thick for the die cut. I tried to cut these out with the die cut and it would not cut them. All it did was make a dent. And I thought I saved it to show you, but I don't know what I did with it. It literally would not cut it out at all. So I decided to put this on top of my shadow box to make the shaker. I'm going to buy a thinner plastic so that I could put plastic, cut it out to be the right shape for my cards. What I did when I made the journals is I used a holographic clear vinyl, and you could also use just clear vinyl. You could also use clear contact paper because that shine gives it the illusion that it's under glass, even though it's flat. So let's make the shadow box. Let's put these somewhere where we can find them because like I said, you can't find them once you lay them down. This is your shadow box punch board. It is again by We Are Memory Keepers. Actually, this is We Are Makers. They used to be We Are Memory Keepers. Now they're We Are Makers. I have a lot of their punch boards and I love every one of them. I only have one punch board that I'm disappointed in. And I think I might actually do something on my Facebook page to get everybody to tell me what one punch board they like the least. Because we all have our favorites. Right now, this one is my favorite. I use this a lot. This and the envelope punch board is probably going to be the 2 most used in my craft room. But I'd like to know what everybody's least favorite is and why. If you want to put that down in the comments, because maybe I can change your mind on it being your least favorite. I'm still trying to find out what else I can do with my least favorite and try to do a video showing people how to make other things with it to make other people enjoy it as well. And I'm not going to do a spoiler alert yet. I'm not going to tell you what my least favorite is. I do like it. It's my least favorite. So we are going to put score lines on this piece of paper, cardstock. Again, this is 7 3/4 by 7.5. When I punch, I like to start with the longest side, but when it's almost square, that doesn't even matter. So you're going to take your little scoring tool. Almost every punch board I have comes with a scoring tool if there's any scoring to be done, and most of them do. In fact, I'm looking across my wall here, has them all displayed, and there's only one that doesn't have a scoring tool, and that is the alphabet punch board. It doesn't have a scoring tool because it has a cutting tool. Kind of interesting to note there. So let's make our scoring lines on our actual cardstock that is going to be our shadow box. All 4 sides gets 4 lines. Does not matter which way you start or which way you end, as long as you put the paper in flush, top and left. I'm holding it down so that it doesn't try to move, shift around. You want your lines to be straight. The straighter your lines, the straighter your shadow box is going to be. And now I'm going to turn it this way so you can see, I have 4 lines on all 4 sides. This is my longest side. We're going to flip this around. You can do it from the front if you like. I like to do it this way. You're going to put the corner in, and it's going to go all the way to the top and all the way to the left, and you're going to punch. Then you're going to slide the paper, cardstock, to the left, and you see it slid over it will only go so far, and punch again. Then you're going to flip the paper, staying on the same side. You're going to punch, slide your paper, and punch again. Now we're going to flip it so that we stay on the long side again. We're going to punch, slide, and punch. We're going to flip it so we're staying on the long side. Punch, slide, and punch. And that is it. That is all we need to do to make our shadow box. The next thing we want to do is we want to fold all of these edges inward. The score lines are already there, so it's super easy. You want to give it a good, snug, smooth line. You can use your little tool here. I'm not using it so I can save some time. I don't speed it up or pause the video because I think it's important that you guys know in real time how long it takes to make this. And as you can see, it's very quick. The next thing I want to do is I want to add, looked very weird. I want to add some adhesive. These are my pointy sides and these are my straight sides. I want to add my adhesive to the pointy sides. And for that, I'm using score tape. I'm using score tape because it is very thick and it holds very well. This is more than just adding a sentiment to the top of a card. You are actually making a 3-dimensional box, so you don't want it to fall apart or come undone. I add score tape to both sides. The last section you scored, which is this, that is where your score tape goes. Don't have it come past that first score line and don't let it go off the cut edge. Remove the paper, and then you're basically going to roll this into a square tube just like that, and then you can press it down. You're putting the edge of the paper inside to form a square tube. And we're going to do the other side the same way. Press it down, and now we have 2 square tubes. It's a little hard to show you guys on the video. For the next 2 sides, I'm going to put my score tape inside the box, inside these little triangle cut out edges. So instead of putting it on any of the score lines, I'm putting it inside the shadow box, in between these two little slants. Putting the score tape, taking the tape paper off, and we do the same thing. We're rolling it into a box, but you have to roll it underneath those slanted lines. And the first couple of times are going to seem a little tricky. When you're not paying attention because you're talking on the video, it's going to be a little tricky. Once you get it closed to form a perfect aligned square, then you can lay it down so you can press that score tape. And that is how perfect it comes out. You have these cute little mitered edges, and we're going to glue them. So now let's go over to the other side and do the same thing with the score tape. We're going to put it inside. And this may be overkill for the score tape. I haven't tried it using like just a little piece of score tape. I don't want this to come apart. This has to make it all the way to Christmas before I give it to someone, so it kind of needs to last. We're going to roll it into a square tube, making sure that we get it inside underneath the mitered squares. Once we know that's exactly where we want it, it's touching, so we know it's sticking, but I want to make sure it sticks well. And now we have the other side done. So now we have our perfect little shadow box. Sometimes the prints make it look like it is not square or not even. I've had that happen with different prints. Like, to me, this looks crooked, but when I put my hands on it, it's exactly like it's supposed to be. So I think it's the print. There's more green on, darker green on this side than this side. So you're going to go to the sides that tucked underneath. You're going to hold them out, and you're going to put a dot of glue in that corner. That corner goes underneath those little mitered edges, those little slanted edges. So you want the glue to go underneath there. You're going to take the glue off. You're going to wipe it on something other than your t-shirt that you're wearing. You're going to press down for a few seconds just to get that glue to stick, because it is putting two pieces of cardstock together, but you can't put your hand on the underneath side of this. So if you tap it, it's pretty firm because it's cardstock. You want to make sure your corners are straight, got nice little square corners, and just give it a little tap. I still hold it and come over to the other side, and I do the same thing. I put my little dot of glue. I'm using this Precision Craft glue. It's by Barely Art. So far, I'm a fan of it. I like it. I'm not a sponsor, guys, so anytime I show you what I'm making, I'm showing you in case you were wondering. I'm not showing you to have you go out and buy it. But if you want a link to anything I'm using here, just let me know and I'll give you the link. I will give you the link to the die and stamp sets, because that is important. That if you're making this exact shadow box for this exact die and stamp kit, you kind of need this exact stamp and die. However, you can make it with any. You don't have to use this stamp and die. You can use any stamp and die. You don't have to make a snow globe. You can make a shaker in multiple themes and multiple ways. I think I do have another video about the shaker too. So now that I have my box, I want to turn it, because I know I need this to be the longest, because that is where my snow globe goes so that it doesn't hang off. It's basically going to sit at the bottom edge, and now it's just enough edge that I can use the skinny score tape and put here, here, and here. I'll be able to use the thick double score tape down here because there is going to be plastic here. So let's go and add an image. I'm going to add this little guy because these aren't colored yet. So I want to add him to the inside. Now let me explain why I don't put my picture in before I close up my box. And that is because only in the videos do I have this ready. When I'm making these little shadow boxes, I usually have not decided what's going in them yet. I'm just thinking about the size and the color and what I want to make, but I haven't decided on the inside. If you've already decided on the inside, you can put your image in here first, make it a little bit larger so that you can go inside and not worry about it having white showing. But that is why I don't put the image on the inside. Somebody in another video asked me, wouldn't it be easier? And yes, it is easier to put it in before you make it if you know what image you're going to use. Now I'm going to take my double-sided tape. This doesn't need to be extra secure because it is going to be in there and not be bothered. I'm just using my advanced tape glider for this, only because it's quicker and easier than doing the score tape. Once you have adhesive on the back, you can use glue. Don't over glue anything because this is paper and it will get wet and wrinkly quick. Stuff it in one corner first and then stuff it all the way around. And these boxes come out really close to perfect. So if you cut that at the right size, in this case it's 2.5 by 2 3/4, it will fit in there perfectly. And now I have my image. Now, right now, this is absolutely adorable. You could stop here, throw some holly in the corner, and be done. He's absolutely adorable. But we're going to continue on making a shaker. Now, you can get synthetic, fake-looking snow or glitter at any craft store, Dollar Tree, Walmart. Right now, everybody's going to have it, or everybody's going to be getting it. This is very, very old. I've had it for years, about a huge bag of it. I suggest using a sandwich container. This is just a Rubbermaid sandwich container. Take along. Put a plastic spoon in there and leave it because this is the best way to use this. I'm going to put like 1.5 little scoops in here. I don't want to put a ton, but I don't want to put not enough. If you're glittering something and using it this way, if I glittered on top of this, I could then pour this on top, shake it off, and I've made no mess. Best way to glitter ever. It's very easy to store and the lid stays on, and it's just a sandwich size container. You can also use smaller, but you don't have that surface when you're doing glitter. As you can see by the sparkles in the camera, I'm a hot mess with glitter. So now you need a piece of clear plastic, and I know you guys can't see this unless it glares. There we go. This is actually slightly, and I mean like just enough for this little skinny adhesive, just enough to go across the edge. If you want it to go all the way to the end, you are going to see the seam and you're also going to see the adhesive. So if you're okay with that, that's perfectly fine. But because I'm putting this on here, I don't want it to go any further than my actual trim. So I cut it ever so slightly larger. And I'm going to try to show you if you can see that. It's just barely larger than the actual opening. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put my very skinny, and when I say very skinny, this is smaller than a quarter. I think this is the 1/8. I want to put this all the way around, leaving no gaps. It's super skinny. It's also super sticky, so it holds really well. And that's important. You're putting clear plastic on adhesive. Sometimes the adhesive is not going to stay. But in this case, I have had no issues so far. So once I have those two down, and you're going to handle this lightly because you don't want to disturb the snow and you don't want the snow to get into the adhesive. I'm going to pull this off so I can barely overlap so that there's no way the snow can come out of the corners. I'm basically sealing the snow in, so I need this adhesive to overlap on the corners. But I don't want it to go so far that it's larger than my plastic. And as you can tell on this side, I didn't quite go up. It is such a small difference. It probably wouldn't matter, but I am going to take just a little piece and I'm going to put here just in case. I don't want any snow coming out and going everywhere. And again, you want to be gentle with it because you saw I just shook it. You don't want that snow, oh good grief. You don't want the snow to come and get on the adhesive. Now you want to take this and you want to rub it. And I know you're putting fingerprints on it. you're trying to get the static electricity off. If you have one of those static electricity little bags you use for stamping and embossing, you can use that, but you don't want any static on this because then the snow is going to stick to it. I'm going to carefully, because this is super hard to see, I'm going to bring it up a little closer. I'm going to carefully put my plastic down. And I did not put it down straight enough for my liking, because one side looked like it was going to come up. And I am not doing good with pulling it up. Like I said, this actually sticks to the plastic, surprisingly. I'm going to put my adhesive back down. I'm going to try again. I want to get those sides overlapping, top and bottom overlapping. There we go. So now all the way around has adhesive. A little came out the sides. I'm just going to use my fingers to get rid of it. If you notice when you're done, there's a little section. You can always put a little glue there and hide it with a snowflake. And there we go. Little came out the bottom. And now we have our snow in our shaker. So now let's talk about the die cut itself. It comes in two pieces. It comes with the circle, and then you have the little base. I have taped with score tape, taped them together. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this right on top of here. Before I do that, I want to add the 2025. I know you watched me do this in the other video when I made the notebook, but I want you to see how easy it is if you have the word punch board. Now, again, that's another We Are Memory Keepers. And thankfully, hubby made me this really cute tray so that I can actually find my numbers. Isn't this cute? It's a tray he makes that goes exactly into this drawer. And this drawer is one of those plastic 3-drawer things that you get to put an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in. It's like 3 drawers and a little white frame. It's all plastic. This tray is wonderful. As you can see, I know exactly where to put my numbers back. So we're going to take out our 2, 0, and 5. And then we're going to take some black cardstock. Now you can put this, if you want, you can put this in the actual punch board and punch them. Doesn't matter how you put them in there. You're not lining anything up. You're basically punching to get the little pieces out. And I need an extra 2. So I'm going to punch again. When I bought this and showed you guys in a video how to use it, I told you I would never use these because I am not gluing something like that anywhere. Well, I kind of lied because I absolutely love the little bitty numbers for these. So this is the word punch board, not to be confused with the alphabet punch board. This is all the letters and numbers in a punch. This is the word punch board. This is the alphabet punch board, and this punches individual letters that are 2.5 by 1.5. So in case you were confusing the two when you're looking for them, or if you're looking to purchase them, you would know what the difference is. I actually use that more now that it's organized. So now we have these itty bitty numbers, and we are going to add them to our snow globe. We're just going to use some regular glue, regular paper glue. We're going to use any kind of paper. You can use your leftover adhesive back pieces, work really great, but we're just going to use this because that's what's laying in front of me. Now for lining it up, put it on something so that you have a center line. Once you have a center line, you can take the number, the first number on the left of that center. We're just going to dab some glue on him, and we're going to place him to the left of that line. And I don't like how big this gets sometimes, so I close the little 0 a little bit more than it should. And we're going to clean off our tweezers, and we're going to take the 2. Make sure we don't put them backwards. I'm going to put them in glue, dab them off a little, and place him next to the 0. See how easy this is, guys? And I really didn't think I was going to do these because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to pick these up, put glue in them, and be able to get them on anything with any kind of precision. The beauty of this particular die is these two lines are exactly what's needed to line up these numbers. I don't know how we got lucky with that. And now we put the 5. See how easy that was and how much I said I was not going to do that? They fit perfectly in those little indented lines. Are they perfectly straight? No. Am I happy that they're not straight? Actually, yes. Because like I've said in other videos, I don't like it to be perfect when it's a craft because otherwise it looks like it came out of a factory and not something special that was made just for me. Now that we have these glued on and they stick really well and they're quick to dry, we're going to flip this little guy over and we are going to put some skinny score tape here and on each side. You can put multiple pieces because now that there's plastic on here, you can go all the way around if you want. I just don't think it's necessary. So we're going to put a piece up here and we're going to put a piece on each side. And you don't want that to be seen, so you're going to have to break it off in little pieces. If you want to continue, you can, just make sure you're keeping it contained within the black trim. So now we're going to do the bottom. Now I put this here to hold the black trim, but now we're going to take the paper off. Don't put your score tape directly on the paper because then it's going to come off because the score tape is meant to not stick. So we're going to add some more adhesive down here because we already have our sticky up here. Now we're going to add it down here. I didn't want you guys to go and put another piece on top of the paper because that would not have stuck. Now take your paper off gently. These little bitty 1/8 strips are tiny, but if you put your nail underneath the edge, they come off pretty good, surprisingly. Now we have adhesive on the base, both sides, and the top. Making sure we are right side up because I'm really bad for putting things upside down. I want my base to be centered and not go off the bottom. Once I do that, then I can line everything else up. And now I have a shaker snow dome that is square. Let's add some things to these corners because once you add some stuff to those corners, it looks really good. I'm going to take one of these little snowflakes. I'm going to take a piece of foam. I'm not going to take that one. The reason I like a solid inside on my snowflakes is so that I can put the foam and it won't show. So now we take the paper off and add to the corner. Now I'm going to put a snowflake on this side, but I want to put a piece of holly on the other side. So I don't want this to be puffed up because I'm adding rhinestones. I want this to go smooth and flat. So I am going to use, this comes in 3 different sizes, by the way. I'm going to use the middle one because I want to make sure this sticks really well in that upper corner because I'm about to add some embellishments to it. I'm going to put double-sided score tape. I'm going to make sure it doesn't hang off the edge. If it does, once you take the paper off the back, you can just simply fold the adhesive over to get it back on the actual embellishment. See, like mine came over, and I'm just going to fold that back over. Now I have my holly. You can put him any way you want because there's adhesive all over. He'll stick to anything, and that pretty much covers up your corners. Now for the centers, you can take any kind of rhinestones, and you can see there's some that are more shiny than others. We're going to take one of these little rhinestones and put it right there. But you can see there are 2 other berries there. Now you have 2 choices. You can put 2 more rhinestones, or you can take some paint pens and color those 2 berries red so that you only have 1 jewel, but you have 3 berries. I'm going to go ahead and put all 3 rhinestones because I like to overdo everything. And now I have a really pretty holly and berries, and I have a really sparkly snowflake because it was done in white glitter. Now, one thing I didn't do, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to show you the difference. Look at the base. This base has more character, dimension than this base. And the reason why is because the edges were inked. So if you take a makeup sponge, a finger dabber, I think that's what they're called, take your stamp pad and your finger dabber, give it a good coat, and then just simply go around the edge. Shadowing plain cardstock is one way to get a very elegant look out of anything. I do this with my flowers. I do this with the edges of paper to go on my cards. It takes no time, very little ink, and the results are actually really amazing. Look how much better this looks than this. If you have already got it on the actual item and you're like, oh man, I really wish I'd have done something, you can. You just have to dab lightly so that you're only getting the ink on the base. You're not getting it on the actual shadow box. Now, because this up here is plastic, if I get it on there, I can wipe it off. But because this is raised ever so slightly, I should be fine. It's not the best shading, but it is more shading than having it plain. This is a very neat little trick. I've been doing this for a very long time. It's simple, it's cheap. You don't need to have a lot of colors of the ink. Black and a brown is usually all you need for shading, unless you're doing flowers, and then I recommend multicolors. But that is our shadow box, guys. What do you think? This is the follow-up video showing you how to make the shadow box to match our notebooks. So make sure you check out both videos in case you want to make the matching set. I have future videos coming, lots more Christmas stuff, guys. We're getting into the season, and we'll be making all kinds of fun things. If you have any questions, please put the comments below. If you want to know where anything came from or what it is that I use, I'd be glad to answer all of your questions. Please follow me on Facebook. You'll be able to see what some of my followers make with some of my suggestions and how wonderful and creative they all are on my Facebook page. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, happy crafting.